Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. And of course, welcome back to another Fringe in 15. This is a series dedicated to all you Fringe artists out there heading to the Edinburgh Fringe or the Brighton Fringe, London Fringe, wherever you are. So you have a 15-minute style elevator pitch to pitch your show to a wider audience and listeners, wherever they may be, so people can come and see your hard work and your show and get those bums on seats. And here we have another one today with Matt Ackermann, who had a privilege of sharing GSA with a few years ago, and it's a great joy to have him here today talking about his show Tap Out or I'll Hit You Again live at Edinburgh. But before we get into his show, Matt, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. It's nice to be here, and yeah, nice to catch up with you again.
Yeah, no, likewise, man. And before we start, I'd say I have to mention this as well. Your video, in light of what could say some unfortunate circumstances, has actually led to something rather beautiful for you over the last few days or week or so. How's it been since your video?
It's been crazy. Like we've not. I didn't think we expected the reaction that we got from it, to be honest. I think we just thought, well, let's keep posting content as you do, get the word out there and maybe it'll get a few hundred views or whatever. But it just rocketed, and literally everyone has come back with loads of positive things, loads of support. Lots of people have said they're going to come see it. And this is worldwide as well. It's not just people who are local to Edinburgh who are saying these things. Like some people have said, oh, I'm living in Canada, but I'm going to fly out to come see you, which is
Wow.
it's unbelievable. I'm so grateful for everyone who's said lots of nice positive things, and also have got lots of advice for us as well. There's been lots of people who have popped up and gone, oh, I've done X amount of Edinburgh Fringes, and you're not alone in this situation. Lots of people go through this, and we're just really grateful for everybody, really.
Yeah, of course, and it shows like if you're honest and put something out there unapologetically yourself and authentic to you, then and of course you're not alone on this. I'm sure, like you say, many people have had this experience, but it just shows what happens when you put something out there and just say, screw it. This is how it is right now.
Yeah, you really never know. And I think quite a lot of the time, the content people post, people know it's like going to be something that's like a bit or a comedy thing, or you're lip syncing to a film or a song or whatever it might be. And,
Yeah.
that's all very entertaining and well and good. But I think often the content that tends to soar is when you just put something out there that's genuinely authentic. And, if I'm being honest, like we didn't think too hard into what we were going to let the video be. Like my director sort of said, I'm just going to press record, and you can do what you feel you want to do in this moment, before we get into the run. And so just took a seat and had a think, and was probably questioning my life choices at that point in time, but at the same time, like, it then led to a really good run of the show. Even though no one was there to see that one, it also led to future runs, and so everything is good, whether it's content or whether it's rehearsal or whether it's extra time in the space. There was silver linings to literally everything. And it was literally that evening after we'd finished the run, we went out for drinks with some friends, and Connor opened up his phone. My director, Connor Dye, who wrote the show, he opened up his phone and said, Matt, the views on this video are like well into the thousands now. And I was like, what do you mean? And then check back the next morning and you're hitting 30,000. Check back later on in the day, it's 80. Then it just didn't stop. It was just like a snowball, and it's still going. Like we still check it, and we still see like, oh, another 1,000 people have watched it, and a few number of people have liked it or have commented something. So it's a crazy snowball that's still going, really. But we're just, like I said, we're super grateful for everyone who said something nice on that post. So
Congrats. And again, it's a big message in just putting stuff out there and just being truthful, and you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, congrats. Anyway, let's talk about the show, which you are currently in, and I've got it here, got your Instagram details here. So you're at the Gilded Balloon in the Coorie from the 5th to the 31st of August, and you're on at 6:20 p.m. every single night. So let's do your 15-minute style elevator pitch now. So let me set the timer. Okay, so this is Fringe in 15 minutes. Off we go. So tell me about the show.
So Tap Out is a one-man show about a guy who's struggling to find purpose in his life. He's living in London. He doesn't like the job that he's working in. Seemingly can't find a reason to get out of bed in the morning. But also he's very repressed, and you really get that sense from the very beginning. He can't express his emotions very well, and he has lots of internal frustrations that he doesn't really know how to communicate. And then it leads to a very fateful day in a post office when he's extremely stressed and can't get to the front of the queue. And out of a pure, I don't know, like an impulse, he just goes ahead and punches a guy in front of him in the back of the head. And it's a real sort of adrenaline rush for him. And obviously, the reaction from everyone else in the shop is hostile and what the hell are you doing? But he finds some kind of energy and some kind of thrill that he didn't have before. And so he starts going out and trying this again, like fighting people that he meets in the street, like any random person. And then he starts to invent this persona for himself, this sort of almost vigilante type character where he's able to justify his actions and go out in the world and fight people. But obviously the consequences hit him eventually, and it all goes terribly wrong for him much later on down the line. But yeah, it's a one-man show. In terms of the writing, we'd love to describe it as something like Fight Club meets Fleabag meets Stephen Graham's Punch. So it's a lot of different influences, and there's lots of other shows also that have sort of influenced and inspired the work. But we think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah. And so, just hearing you talk about it there, again, speaking as someone who hasn't seen it, so forgive me if I'm wrong in any of these, but hearing you talk about it there, it's almost like a commentary on there's like a mental health angle. There's particularly in men, because men find it, there's this stigma which men find it hard to talk about stuff, about particularly when it comes to mental health and emotional things and things like that. It's about looking inward and finding things within yourself that maybe you have to deal with, and it's the journey of processing that. Would that be on the right lines by saying those things?
For sure. We're definitely looking at male mental health specifically, and also I suppose about how you define masculinity in the modern world today, because I think lots of people have differing opinions on this, and that all of them are valid, and that everyone has a reason for believing what they believe, which is absolutely fine. But I guess we wanted to talk about that and make it more of a discussion, because I think if there's one thing about the stigma that often rings true for a lot of people is men tend to struggle to communicate what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and so to be able to create a piece of work that hopefully people leave and go away and discuss what they think and be honest about that, then that's a win in my book for me. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, obviously you say it's a one-man show, and you've worked closely with the director. I'm going to get his name in now, Connor Dye, who you just mentioned there as well. How did it come about? Did Connor come to you? Did you go to Connor? How did it all start?
So I've known Connor since university, sort of before GSA. So we've been friends for years, and we sort of kept in touch. And he went into producing and writing his own work, and he's done really well in that sector. And of course, I followed my acting journey, and I've still been going that way. And sort of, he came to me sort of towards the end of last year, saying like, "Oh, I might have something here that might be of interest." And so he was like, "Well, don't plan anything just yet, but just keep me in the loop." And I was like, okay, cool. And then it sort of came to New Year's, and he was like, "Are you doing anything this summer?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I might have an audition or two." And he was like, "Don't do it. Do this. I've got this." And I was like, okay, we're in. Let's go. So I read the script, and I was blown away by it. I thought it was a really, really interesting show, and I was like, I definitely want to be a part of this. And so the inspiration for the piece originally, Connor found it on a Reddit page. This article of this guy who was looking for advice on Reddit because he'd gone out and he'd started fighting people in the street, and he was looking for advice. Is this a good thing to do? Is this right? I enjoyed it, and there was just a really interesting character there, and he sort of kept it for himself for a little while, and then was able to sort of build this world around this very interesting character who might be a really nice person, but he seems to have sort of fallen off the beaten path. And so we really wanted to play with that, and it's been great so far. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds again for someone who hasn't seen it yet, but it sounds intense. That and like the intensity. I've seen like some videos you've put on Instagram and stuff of, the audience. If I'm right in thinking that when they walk in, they're met with you just sitting there very solitary and just staring at them with this swinging boxing bag just behind you. And that already, I remember seeing that image and thinking, okay, we're in for the vibe I got anyway. Was we're in for an intense experience here, and of course you're doing it for every night for a whole month. So how's it been to sort of navigate that intensity of the character and also sort of making sure you're okay as well? Because it sounds like a very, very dense subject that you're tackling every night.
It is, and of course, with any one-man show, it's very much to do with rhythm and pace, and the intensity of it is very true to the character. Like we've been asked, how would you describe the character, and we've always said, oh yeah, this would be very, very intense as a show. But we essentially decided we were going to tackle eye contact as like as a tool. So whenever I go on stage, I'm making direct eye contact with every member of the audience and really sort of engaging them and bringing them into this story
Yeah.
by maintaining that eye contact throughout. And of course, that can be a little bit off-putting to begin with, and it does. You can definitely gauge that some people find it really on edge and a little bit unnerving, but it's for sure something very interesting about the show, and I guess it makes the point of we are trying to communicate something directly to the audience through the story. And yeah, we had a mix of audiences, and they've all thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, all these shows are like obviously the theater is like not to get like too like pompous now or anything, but obviously the theater is like a way of showing. There's an Oscar Wilde quote where he says like he loves the theater because it shows it shows a human being what it's like to be another human being. I'm heavily paraphrasing there, but how does your production? I know we spoke about earlier mental health and everything, but how does it speak to the here and now, and what impact would you like it to have on your audiences?
Like I said, we wanted to tackle the theme of masculinity and what that means for a lot of people. And so we wanted to go away and make sure that we're discussing this very clearly and very, very carefully and getting people to walk away with it, thinking something a little bit new. So I imagine quite a lot of people will be challenged by the idea. But I hope that quite a lot of people will have been drawn into this character to begin with, enjoyed the pace and the action of the show, and then realizing towards the end, maybe there's something we can walk away with here that we can talk about. And we have had that before where like some people have come in and they've said, oh, I definitely want to come back and see this again. I want to bring my teenage sons to come see this. I think this is
Hmm.
required watching for defining what masculinity is, and especially at for the younger male audience. I think it's something definitely worth a look.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And of course, we're not going to do any spoilers today because we obviously want people to come and see it and
of
etc.
course.
But what journey does your character go on through this thing? Obviously, you don't reveal what happens at the end or any sort of significant moments, but like from sort of like a blurb kind of perspective, what is the journey of your character?
I suppose through his eyes, you're seeing the birth of a superhero almost. Like he thinks that he's suddenly discovered a superpower that's given him what he's always been craving, this chance to connect and this opportunity to become more confident. And but also at the same time, he has to keep it a secret, as many vigilantes they do.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I think through his eyes, you see him sort of this classic discovery of powers, then going out and using them, and then fighting crime or just fighting people,
yeah.
and then sort of towards the end hitting a very very severe loss, and then there's a sudden realization there of, is what's going on really the right thing?
Mm,
There's a real theme of morality throughout the show, and for a while he's able to justify his actions very easily,
yeah.
by describing how maybe other people are worse than him, or maybe what he's doing isn't so bad.
Mm,
But at one point he just cannot justify it anymore, and he has to face up to his actions and the consequences of those, and that really shows. But at the same time, that also leads for an opportunity for growth, to realize that there is a better way to do things.
mm.
So that's what I'll leave you with, because I
Nice.
don't want to say anything else. But that's what I think you should hopefully expect.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a really in-depth show, and I've read some of the comments and everything, and and this, us actors probably get this question all the time, and I know it might sound very, very silly, but just humor me on this one. So your process of, because I'm right thinking the show's just over an hour. Is that like an hour and 5 minutes or something like that? So, but it's just an hour and 5 minutes of you talking and probably doing other things as well. Like, how did you learn the lines? I know it's a silly question, but no, I'm just curious. But how
Yeah.
did you, well, the process of learning the lines, and also keeping them actively in your memory for the whole month? And of course, like every day, like you wake up and it's almost like you're waiting for 6:20, and then suddenly you go, bang, 1 hour, and then that's it for another 12 hours. What's that all been like?
To be honest, like there really isn't that much of a secret with the line learning. It's very much just it's just something that does take a lot of time.
Yeah,
And
it
I
does.
spent months every day, sort of, wake up, learn a scene, go over that scene five, six, seven, eight, nine times, put it away, come back the next day, go over it again. And if you can do it, go over the next scene and build, build, build. And it is a long process, but I got there eventually.
Yeah.
The one technique that I used a lot, which really helped me, was one I actually found. I discovered through a Pedro Pascal interview. He talked about
Mm.
how he would write down in a notebook the first letter of every word of his
Yeah.
script, and then he'd use that to sort of very quickly absorb all the information into his short-term memory, and then from there able to build it further into a more long-term memory place. And I found that really useful. Actually, I'd recommend trying it. You'd be surprised how quickly you're able to pick up information just from the first letter of
Mm.
every word. But yeah, that technique really helped me in terms of the line learning. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, like, I see like, it's at 6:20 every night, and it's like you wake up and like, do you go for like a speed run? You go for you have your breakfast and go for a walk and just speed run it through the street and everything. And, I don't know about you, but sometimes if I'm doing that, I put my headphones on and pretend I'm on the phone to somebody. So I see someone speaking out loud to themselves down the street, they're probably thinking, what the hell is that guy up to? But yeah.
I think during the line learning process, 100%, I'd go for a walk and I'd walk the dog and I'd be saying it in my head. And I think people must think I'm a crazy person just muttering these random musings to myself. But at this stage, like now that I'm up here in Edinburgh and I'm going show in, show out, I let it go because I think I've got the show, and there's no need to put pressure on myself now because the show is what it is now, and people are coming out and they're enjoying it. There's no need. Well, of course, there's always nice to refresh, but I think be confident in the fact that you've got it at this point. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've been to Edinburgh Fringe, but there's so many other things to do alongside the show. Like, we're flyering out on the Royal Mile every single morning, and that takes up a lot of social energy. And sometimes you just need to take the extra time just to rest.
Mm.
So, like, yeah, I've had a habit of like in the afternoon taking a quick hour and a half just nap, just to
Mm.
rest and get my body relaxed before having to get up and then obviously prepare for the sprint of a show, which is the full hour. But yeah, I'd say just make sure if anyone's doing a show and they're up in Edinburgh Fringe, I'd say make sure you're just enjoying the rest. Like the festival is fun. There's so many shows to go see. There's so much fun to be had, but pace yourself.
Mm.
It's very easy to burn the candle at both ends, and I think you just need to just make sure you're keeping in time with yourself and making sure you're looking after yourself as best as you can. So
Yeah.
that's my advice. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's brilliant, man. Yeah, and of course, cool. I think we'll draw it there. So there's nearly 15 minutes there now.
No.
Yeah, Matt, thank you very much for your time today. I know you're crazy busy right now, and the show's probably taking up a lot of your time. So I really appreciate you taking the time to promote your show with me today. And also, again, just before we finish, again, congrats on the video as well, and just showing the importance of honesty more than anything. I know I said that earlier, but the importance of just being truthful and honest about, look, I want people to see my show. Please, yeah, I don't think it's great
Yeah.
what you've done, and you've probably done something which a lot of people have wanted to do, but probably didn't have the courage to. And you've probably started a great movement now towards something. So I take my hat off to you, sir. Congratulations, and congrats again on the show. And just once again, guys, here are the details. So if you go on Matt's Instagram, which we'll share this on, etc. You can get your tickets there. So again, the show is called Tap Out or I'll Hit You Again. It's at the Edinburgh Fringe at the Gilded Balloon on the Coorie, hopefully I've said that right, from the 5th to the 31st of August, every night at 6:20 p.m. Written and directed by Connor Die, and of course starring Matt as well. Go and get your tickets now, and I'm sure it will be a brilliant show. And last thing to say is, Matt, good luck with the show. Good luck with the rest of the run, and I'm sure it's going to be brilliant, and you're going to have lots of amazing people going to come and see your great and hard work. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
No, thank you, man. Just hang on. Well, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a debrief, then we can shoot back to live. You can go get ready for tonight. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been Fringe in 15 on the Uncensored Critic podcast. And again, if any of you want to get in touch, just drop me a message on Instagram or send me an email, both of which are available on the same platform. So yeah, and Matt, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.